We promoted this to the CoinPayment shareholders and also Bitcoin Capital 2 investors because we made an investment under Bitcoin Capital 2 in the early days. Yeah, so always remember, please do like, please do share this video, and subscribe to the channel as well if you'd like to keep up to date with the different companies that are building the technology that has made this industry go from a very small industry to $1 trillion and beyond at the time of this recording. So a little bit of background before we get started, usual housekeeping. So I'm going to invite Jason in shortly. He's out there in Cayman, and he's going to be sharing a bit more. We'll cover some questions. Famida's going to be moderating as usual. So if you've got questions you'd like to ask Jason, use the live chat, and Famida will be picking out some questions as well. But we're going to get started in. So welcome and thank you very much for joining us, Jason. So I believe you're out there in Cayman, and we were just having a bit of background. It's not just a Cayman shell company. You're actually out there. You're located out there. So how's things going at the moment?
Yeah, doing really well. It's good to be on the show, Simon, with you.
Yeah.
The business itself, we're registered in Cayman. We really operate around the world, though. We have offices and businesses and operations in Estonia and Amsterdam and Kiev and in London. And we also have original office in Vancouver still as well. So the business really operates much broader than just in the Caribbean. It's really operating out of these other markets that we're in, and we're seeing lots of growth in those areas. So.
Understood. So when we first worked with CoinPayments, it was your fellow board member Alex that we were originally dealing with.
Yep.
I remember it was at a time when it was very, very hard to fund a crypto company. There were a few players. One of our other portfolio companies, BitPay, was helping people take payments through Bitcoin. And then Coinbase was just starting to get into the market of merchant processing and trying to create the PayPal of Bitcoin, really. And then there were a couple of other players that I'm not sure are around, like GoCoin. And then CoinPayments came along, and it was really at the emergence of alternative cryptocurrencies starting to be, right at the beginning. It was probably 99% Bitcoin at the time, but CoinPayments came along and said, well, why not accept Litecoin? Why not accept more? And I believe you're probably up to about how many cryptocurrencies you allowing people to pay through the platform now?
In the payment side of it, we have about 130 or so, but in the wallet infrastructure that we have, you can accept and hold over 2,000. So within our wallet infrastructure, if you're looking to hold those assets or receive those assets, there's well over 2,000 currencies that we're supporting in our wallet system now.
Yeah. Okay. So in its simplest form, if someone wants to pay with cryptocurrency and they want a simple piece of technology they can plug into their websites, then CoinPayments provides that technology. So why don't you walk us through like the evolution of CoinPayments and how you're thinking, where you're at now?
Yeah, for sure. So as some people know, that the business was originally started in 2013. Alex and a couple other people that kind of got together, they decided that as they were selling products to the crypto mining industry, Alex really wanted to accept altcoins as a payment. So as they were mining and as his feeling was starting to grow more and more and his involvement in the blockchain industry, his interest was how does he accept, or how could he accept alternative cryptos as that form of payment? And that's where he managed to connect with our CTO and a couple other groups that managed to build our gateway. And that was the original gateway that we had. And as you know, Simon, that business kind of just grew and grew and grew, mostly through chat groups and through the community of the blockchain community, where other people also wanted to accept crypto and altcoins as that form of payment. So in 2015, I was introduced to Alex, and I came on as a advisor to him as he was seeing the business go from 2,000 clients, and over the next year it went to 50,000 clients. And in 2015 and 2016, I was supporting him in introducing the business to more of the payments industry and more of the markets, like attending Money 2020 and other types of events that were much more focused around e-commerce and much more focused around merchants and payments. And ever since that period, we just continued to grow. And we started our business operating in different regions. We expanded into different markets. And today we're serving clients in over 180 countries. We have licenses in Estonia, which covers all of the European market. We're just about to get a license in the UK, an SPI license. We also have a Canadian MSB license, and we're in the process of getting statewide licenses across the United States as well. So they're all different licenses based on sort of different geographic areas and what their requirements are and things like that. And then we also have partnered with many organizations that provide different solutions so that we can better provide and provide solutions for our clients. So we'll be launching credit card solutions fairly soon. First, we'll launch in the European market, which is a debit card product. And then we have a platform that's being launched out of Panama, which is a credit card product. And then we're also working on some banking and some fiat settlement solutions as well. So that's sort of the evolution of the business. And as our business continued to grow and more coins came out, of course, we added more coins, and we see more and more volume that are starting to happen more in the stablecoin market. However, we still supporting it. Most of our transactions are around 80% are Bitcoin. So as you stated earlier, you could see a large number of crypto payments that were happening with mostly Bitcoin. We're seeing more and more changes in other types of coins and the Ethereum markets, as well as the stablecoin markets and the Tether and things like that. So there's some interesting developments for sure.
Yeah. So, when crypto payments first became a thing, the volume was really, really small. And I remember in the early days, it was the volume for Bitcoin payments was tiny. Was there really a market for alternative cryptocurrencies? Share us a bit about like how that's evolved over time. So, maybe you could walk us through some of the volume numbers from the early days compared to where you are today.
Yeah, well, for sure. So I guess around the time that your first investment, I'm not sure the exact volumes that we were around, but I think it was probably much more around sort of the $400,000 mark monthly, and today we're at the $400 million mark monthly. So the growth over, I would say, the last 5 years is growing at least that much, because from over 400,000 to 400 million is a pretty significant jump and increase. Now, as I mentioned earlier, about 80% of that is Bitcoin still, but rather than it being 95% Bitcoin, it's now about 80% Bitcoin. So the rest of them are alternate altcoins that are being used. Still, the majority is the sort of top 5 to top 10 coins, but that's about what we're doing. We're processing in around the 400 or even more million a month in transaction volume today.
Amazing. What you mentioned stable coins. What are you starting to see there? Are you seeing that it's you mentioned that you're going to be getting into fiat gateways, but are you seeing stable coins becoming people paying with stable coins, or are they more managing their payments in the wallet with stable coins? What type of things are you seeing there?
There's both. There's definitely where they're accepting a coin, say it might be Doge, and they're converting it to a stable coin or a stable value like a Tether. We're definitely seeing more and more transactions happening in stable coins as well. And I have a feeling that in the more mainstream businesses, we'll see more transactions and more percentage of transactions moving towards stablecoin type purchases where the value is more consistent with what they're paying for as well as what's being received.
Yeah. So you've seen that growth from 400,000 to approximately 400 million. Those investors that invested in the seed round relative to the second round, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I think it was an approximately a 200 times increase in the valuation of the company, which is reflected in the increase in terms of the number of transactions that are being done. I often tell people that I think many people, when they're investing in this industry, they probably think that they might have missed the boat. But from my perspective, the industry is only really just getting started. And those that made those ginormous returns were the ones that were, investing in something that was highly unlikely to succeed, but did succeed. But now I think we're moving from very few, not too many people realizing, the impact that's going to be had here, but more and more realizing all of the corporations and large players figuring out how that they're going to get involved in this industry. And then we go from here to actual, mainstream integration into all the different service providers, banks, everything from here. So from my perspective, we've moved from not knowing whether we would succeed to really knowing that our industry was here to stay. And now we're knowing our industry from here to stay to a ginormous growth phase. So where do you think CoinPayments goes from here? And do you agree with the analogy? Have you reached like peak stage, or do you think you're just getting started?
Well, there's a few things that you've said there, Simon, I'll comment on. One is the industry. And I go back a number of years back to the early 90s in the internet space. And in the early 90s, we developed a product called WSN, the World Shopping Network. And the whole idea is what the internet is today. And of course, we were far before our years, and we didn't know what the internet was going to have. Is anybody going to actually use the internet? And how is everybody going to do it? But we believed in it. And then you saw a big bubble in the late 90s and 2000 where the internet was just being promoted and pumped and getting everybody raising capital to build these internet companies, which is sort of where the PayPals and the Googles and all the big guys started. So it took many years to get to that stage, of course. And today, where is the internet? It's in every single person's hand. It's in every single person's phone. It's a part of your life. And I believe that crypto is something very similar. It was started 10 years ago. We are getting to a position now. I think we're just really beginning in the phase where it's becoming more mainstream. You hear it in the news every day. You see people talking about it that are sort of the larger groups. I'm getting contacted regularly now by mainstream financial advisors, groups that are saying, how are you doing the kind of volume you're doing? And you were quiet. You weren't like some of the bigger organizations that have raised tremendous amounts of money and done big promotions or markets. But every day you'll see more and more news and more information and more interest from communities. And I get asked almost every day, how do I buy Bitcoin? How do I get crypto? How do I spend it? And it's becoming more and more a daily thing, where I think 4 or 5 years ago, it was harder to get that, harder to get people to pay attention, harder to get people to trust it or believe it. And if you know some stats, like the credit card industry, for example, it took 50 years for true global adoption. 50 years. It started in the late 50s, right? So I think crypto, what we've seen in crypto happen in the last 10 years, I think in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see, just a massive growth. And I also, in some ways, too, think that the word or the naming of crypto may not necessarily be talked about as much. It'll just be a given that is a payment that's done in crypto. Sort of like how some people send wires. They don't know about SWIFT. They don't know about all the systems that are happening. And just like credit cards, they don't know about all the systems and technology and background on how that transaction is happening. So I think we're really getting to that stage. We're really only at the beginning stages.
Yeah. And if crypto or Bitcoin, whatever we want to call it, is a peer-to-peer payment system, why do we need a payment gateway? What is the purpose for that? Why are a company Bank to the Future and others using that?
There's a few things. First of all, definitely peer-to-peer or person-to-person. The crypto industry doesn't necessarily need a sort of middle guy or a payment solution. If you're simply sending funds from person to person, it's not necessarily needed for sure. But if you're a business and you're operating, say, a retail outlet, or you're operating something online and you're not face to face, you're not direct to direct, you need some solutions that make things more automated, a little bit easier for payment systems to be automated through that process. So if you're at a POS terminal and you're at a retail store, at some point you're not dealing with the person you're paying, you're dealing with the business itself behind it. So sometimes there's those requirements, and we see from our business where we provide an easy payment solution where there's payment shopping cart gateway plugins, there's APIs, there's systems that allow the merchants themselves to accept those payments without having to be present or without having to accept that payment. So that's really where platforms like ourselves really support merchants.
Yeah. And you also provide a whole management side to it, so you can receive in one cryptocurrency, to have out in another cryptocurrency, auto conversion, batching, all sorts of help people understand some of the features that you offer that make companies that want to get into accepting crypto payments easier.
Yeah, so areas like, first of all, the shopping cart plugins. If you are running a website and you want to be able to easily integrate that system into your website to accept it, those shopping cart plugins are the very first piece. It's the very first point. The administration side of it, as you mentioned earlier, you have settings within that to say, okay, well, you want to accept any form of currency that the person on the other end is wanting to spend. It might be, say, Dogecoin. Of course, everybody's seen the craze in Doge in the last little while. If somebody's spending Doge and you'll accept Doge, but you don't want to hold Doge. The system allows that conversion automatically as you've accepted it to convert into, say, a USDT or a stable coin or other crypto that you want to be able to hold. So within that piece, that's very helpful for a merchant that doesn't necessarily maybe know crypto very well or doesn't necessarily want to hold a specific random coin. So that's very suitable as well. There's also other things. There's auto conversion or auto sort of send to your own wallet, maybe an offshore wallet or a hardware wallet. There's also some areas where it'll actually allow you to send to, say, a third-party service provider where you might be converting to fiat. Soon we'll be converting to fiat and settling automatically to their bank accounts within our platforms as well.
Yeah. And one of the challenges with accepting so many different payment methods or blockchains or different coins is kind of like having to hurdle together all of the sheep, and they're all running off in different directions, and you've got these 150 different cryptocurrencies, and suddenly Bitcoin goes from negligible fees to fairly significant transaction fees that can really impact the business if you were swallowing those costs. Or something like Ethereum decides to move from proof of work to proof of stake and completely changes the rules around that. Tether, maybe it goes through a moment of uncertainty where the peg holds. How do you handle all of this just sheer speed and change that happens in this industry? And then I guess it helps you understand the need for the service, because for a simple e-commerce to be able to handle all of these changes that happen in the industry at a very fast pace can just take down your system if you're not on top of them.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of where having a team like ourselves. I mean, really, we don't necessarily look at individuals as a client or as someone. I think of anybody that's using our platform as really a partner or somebody that we are there to assist and help, right? So from our customer support systems to our ticket systems to our team that are developing our new platforms or our current systems, maintaining those systems are extensive for sure. And we do that to make sure that platforms operate as best as possible. And that's not just our platform, but our partners and our people that we're providing the services to. So it is something definitely on the back end that we're always doing to make things better and hopefully support everybody better too.
Yeah. And what's the scale of the company now? So when you first did the funding round, was it like a few people, and what's the size of it now?
Yeah, I think the first round, I think there was probably, I would say there was 5 people, maybe 4 people that were really involved, from Alex and the CTO and maybe 2 or 3 other people that were really actively involved regularly. And today we have probably over 60 people that are operating and supporting our platforms and doing new development and doing support and everything else. So there's well over 60 now.
Yeah. Okay. Before we jump into audience questions, so if you've got any questions, then please do use the live chat right now. Please do like, please do share. Yeah, we can take some of those questions, and Famida will be pulling those out. But my final questions, really, before we go to that, is where do we go from here for CoinPayments? What's the future things? What are you excited about at the moment? And where do you want to take this?
Well, I definitely say I'm excited by a number of things. One is I'm super excited by the change in adoption, right? More and more people. We're probably getting about 5,000 new clients every month, and those numbers were sort of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. We just see a continued increase in growth in new client base, and those are things that excite me because I see more and more people, more and more adoption, and more interest in the entire industry from all the people that we talk to regularly. So that's exciting for me. For CoinPayments itself, we're going to be launching a new payments platform, rolling that out over stages, but over the next month, so a certain number of our own internal clients are being invited to test that new platform and use that platform. So I'm sure you guys probably want to get on board in that for sure. It'd be great to have Bank to the Future using that new platform. And then second stage will be a rollout of it fully, where we migrate all clients and all businesses. So that's super exciting. And I think the rollout of introducing a Visa type debit and credit card solution is going to be one of our big rollouts that we'll be doing shortly, and improving our conversion platforms. We have a lot on the go for this next month for sure.
What about PayPal joining the market? What does that mean for CoinPayments?
I think that PayPal has been sort of around in a lot of different spaces for a long time, right? And I think it's excellent because it creates more adoption. And I think more organizations like a PayPal or more organizations like other people it's going to be beneficial for them because it's something that's already integrated into their platform. Whether that changes our audience or our platform or how we do something, I don't see it necessarily as a major challenge for us at all. I think there's going to be more adoption for sure. There's different types of businesses that PayPal provides or provide services to than who we provide services to.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me, maybe you've got some questions from the audience. I'd love to have a chat with Jason about the potential of secondary market with the level of growth he's had. So we'll have a chat with you about that as well. The last funding round, could you just remind us the valuation that you've achieved in the last round?
Yeah, the last round that you guys participated in, or your investors, the valuation was, I believe, 200 million. Pre-money is where the investment was.
Okay. Famida, have we got any questions from investors or the audience?
Yes, we do. And you just stole that question from
sorry.
from Robert Wilson. He just asked that exact question. What was the last valuation? Okay, so we have quite a few regulars, which is great. The question from John H, and I think from everybody really, is: are you looking to do a new funding round on Bank to the Future?
We're not presently looking to do another round, although we have been in discussions with a number of M&A groups as well as financial advisory groups. The most recent few have been quite interesting in different options that we might have to do another round of financing and or funding. Or there is also some other areas where we're looking at possibly some strategic opportunities with much larger global payments organizations. So we are definitely in the process of looking at this. We're not at that stage at the moment, but I would say in the next 2 to 3 months we're going to see some interesting things happen for sure. So we'll definitely stay in touch.
What about exits? Are you interested in exploring exits at this stage, or you just want to continue growth?
No, we have entertained it. We in this process of discovery, we did get a proposal. It was a very significant proposal. We did our shareholders did turn down the presentation or the offer, but it's definitely created some interest in the opportunity, and that was really a strategic opportunity. Where I looked at it was that the benefit to all of the team involved, as well as all of the clients that we have and partners that would have really benefited from that specific strategic, and that would have been a full exit for sure. However, I think from the team aspect and the clientele aspect, the benefits would be really substantial. So, if the right offer comes and the right strategic comes, then we will entertain that for sure.
Any plans to follow Coinbase into the IPO markets, or you'd rather stay private?
Preferably stay private, although that would depend on who might come in and do an acquisition of us too, right? So maybe it would be somebody like a Coinbase that might make that kind of deal, or it might be maybe another payments organization or somebody else. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think we're ready to do an IPO ourselves. Formerly being involved in that public market space myself, it really takes on a completely different realm of business. So as some of the financial advisors were asking me recently, how are we doing the kind of volume we're doing compared to, say, a BitPay or other organizations that have also gone and raised a lot of money, many, many millions. I think doing that kind of thing changes the dynamic of our business. And we've stayed very focused on providing services to our clients and building better service systems rather than focusing on raising capital. So I think if we did the IPO route and went public, we would probably be looking at having to bring on some completely different team and run that side of the business.
Yeah. Well, the early funding round, I remember the CoinPayment story. You were actually funded by Bitcoin's growth. So when we did the early funding round, a lot of people invested with Bitcoin. And the way that you guys treasury managed that, and you accepted the crypto risk, you held the crypto risk. It actually took you through a couple of funding rounds just on the Bitcoin growth alone, right?
Absolutely. And, a lot of that maybe was expected or really unexpected, really right at the time. We definitely support and hold a lot of crypto. So as we continue to accept crypto as our payment that we receive in our transaction fees, we tend to hold most of that, and that's supported our business growth tremendously. It really has in that plan. Thankful to our partners like Alex and other guys who really support us in doing that. I think that's where it's really important for our own business growth, because that supported our investments and supported a lot of things with the growth of that Bitcoin.
For me, did you want to take another one? I got more questions if you haven't got any, but do you want to take some from the audience?
Well, I can see that, Simon. You're stealing everyone's questions from the live chat. But yeah, that was actually a question from Edmund Tunn, who is an investor, and he's asked a question which I think quite a few people who are investors of CoinPayments on our platform are asking: is there any plans to do an update for shareholders at Bank to the Future?
Yeah, we can definitely do that fairly soon. There was the last 3 months, we were in an LOI with this organization that had the intent to acquire us. So we were sort of in a lockdown sort of phase, but we can definitely provide an update fairly soon for sure.
Lockdown, you mean financially, legally
Yeah,
speaking lockdown, not COVID lockdown?
No, not COVID lockdown, although we were in that too, but the just the process of our discovery and where we were allowed to share or tell or talk about that situation at the time. So so now that we're out of that, we can definitely update and provide information and share.
I feel like that's the toughest part, really, and we feel it as well in support, where we can't really disclose too much information, and yeah, it just upsets everybody. So yeah, an update from the company themselves is so much better. Yeah,
for sure, and we'll definitely, as we've stated today, there's definitely some information I've shared. Last year, I think our financials were quite. We completed all those now for the last year, as well as probably 2019. I don't know that there was an update given. I forget if we did that or not, but we have all of that available, so we can provide those to the shareholders and as well as our numbers. I think last year our total transaction volume was 3.2 billion. In our transaction volume for last year. So we can provide some updates on things like that for sure.
Wow.
What about crypto accounting, Jason? I don't think people appreciate how difficult it is when you've got that many cryptocurrencies, accepting that many different commissions, having to mark them all to market for that volume of payments. How have you handled some of the accounting challenges over the years, and is it getting pretty lean now?
Well, I had to bring in real accounting. So CFOs and other teammates that are really manage and support our financial sort of structure, and that's because we have a number of different companies that are providing various types of services to us, and there's our transaction, which is all 100% within our infrastructure system that tracks and records all of those systems. So that those areas we're pretty good with. The CFO that we brought on is formerly with an auditor, so he's helped us really get things just nailed down to make sure that everything balances and everything is just 100% accurate every month, which has been a great change this past year, actually.
Yeah.
Can I get back to asking some questions now, Simon?
You can.
I don't know, Jason, has Simon frozen for you? Because Simon looks frozen. Oh, now he's not. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Robert Wilson has asked, and John H. Jason, are you concerned to see PayPal as a new competitor? Maybe they might steal the market.
No, I'm not. We're not concerned about it. I mean, of course, we always pay attention to people and to organizations, and I think it's a positive thing for general e-commerce players that are already using PayPal, that have sort of an easier integration. They're already integrated. They can accept those payments. But for our business, we provide services that, to clientele that are not accepting PayPal, and or they don't have integrations into PayPal. So we did some research recently on the APAC region as an example, and most of our clientele in the APAC region are crypto or financial service providers, or sort of the top 100 clients that are in that space. And most of those clientele are not accepting PayPal, they're not accepting credit cards, they're not accepting other things. So I think we're providing some different solutions and different systems from our APIs, systems like callback addresses, which are just a different form of allowing those payments to go through in a more effective way. I think Simon, BnkToTheFuture, is actually using that platform. So there's different things that we provide than what PayPal will ever provide. Simple e-commerce for sure, maybe, but we're also the crypto payments platform, or one of the crypto payment platform for groups like Shopify. And a lot of those merchants that are there, they want to accept payments in all different types of altcoins and crypto. And PayPal is, basically accepting and supporting Bitcoin.
Just a question for somebody who's relatively new to this and has never used CoinPayments. And now we're talking about how PayPal works. I feel like everyone is more familiar with how PayPal works because obviously it's been dealing with fiat. So PayPal offers that selling buyer sort of what do you call it, protection?
Yeah.
Is that something that CoinPayments offers?
So we don't have the same kind of system as the PayPal solution. Now PayPal is definitely over the last 20 years or so of developing their system. They really were based off of the marketplace platform that they were built off of initially. So I think that the ideas that they had was slightly different. We do definitely have some solutions where we have the relationships with the merchants, and we contact them if there's complaints or challenges within the actual space. But as a payment gateway, as a technology provider to the merchant, if the buyer is a client and using CoinPayments as the actual purchase, then we can do things a little bit differently as well and support the transaction. But unlike sort of PayPal, where you have the buyer-seller protection, it's really as if you are a PayPal client and you pay a PayPal client. But if you're not a PayPal client, they don't have the same buyer protection facility, unless the purchase is done through credit card. Then you have the credit cards companies that are doing the facilitation and the chargebacks, which again merchants are also interested in because they don't have the chargeback issues where people are randomly doing the chargebacks because they have buyer remorse, which is where a lot of that kind of stuff happens, and or fraud, where people have just taken credit cards and done transactions. And there's a lot of it's a huge problem in that industry, which crypto does change, it does release. We do have refund processes. We do have systems where we're actually enhancing where the merchants have the ability to better find solutions to refund clients. So it is a big piece of our system that we're building out too.
John H has asked, actually a comment, an integration with FIO would be a good idea.
Yeah, we've had lots of conversations with them with regards to that. We've held off on doing too many new integrations until the new platform is launched. Supporting two platforms is pretty substantial, and our techs have requested that we limit new integrations into our current system as well as our new system. So, but it is definitely something we've had conversations with, and I know the guys at FIO as well.
Is the new platform a complete rebuild, and what was the reason for needing that?
Yeah, a complete rebuild. I mean, the current system is great because it works and it supports clients, but it's built on an older technology. It's built on systems where it's much more difficult for us to do new integrations and have larger teams support that platform. So the new platform allows for more people to have access to it, more people to be able to support customers. So it's really about our growth, and thankfully the current system has been supporting our current growth. But even at that, we pretty much had identified a couple of years ago that we needed another system a couple of years ago. So as we've had tremendous growth, we're thankful that it has been keeping up, but we recognized that we really needed to build it. So we've actually been building the system now for almost 2 years.
Okay. I have a question from Gustavo. Can CoinPayments accept human readable addresses such as @crypto by unstoppable domains?
Unstoppable is just about to be integrated. It is one of the systems that we've started a process for integration with, and Unstoppable have been very supportive in the process, and we have been working through that process directly with them, and I think that should be active in the next probably 30 days or so, but that's something that we're all working on.
I know you have mentioned it about an acquisition, future plans. But Edmund Tan really wants to know: are there any plans for an acquisition? And what are you looking for a potential company?
Well, I guess that's two questions, two different kinds of questions. One is, would we be acquiring other people, or would we be looking at being acquired? So it depends on which question.
I think they're angling, are you wanting to be acquired?
Yeah, so that was our most recent conversation with the group, and we went through about 3 months of due diligence with their entire team, so that they got to a position where they made an offer, and they did make an offer. So we have entertained it. It's not something that we're specifically looking for, but it is been entertained. And if it is that kind of thing, my preference is somebody who is a strategic type of thing for all the users and the people that are involved in the company. So if it's a group that is doing financial services or payment systems or providing new technology and or technology development kind of people that are supportive around the crypto space and or the payment space, we would entertain it. But I'd prefer that myself over, say, maybe a private equity firm that really doesn't have any real investment or real knowledge of the industry. Although maybe if they're just looking to invest and support us in a further growth, we would entertain that still. But that's what we're looking at.
And another question from John H. I guess this will be Simon, well, both of you, I guess. Will it be on the secondary market?
That's our next conversation. We haven't talked about it with Jason, but certainly qualifies for our secondary market. So we'll certainly look at seeing if we can do that. So Jason, our secondary market is where existing investors can place an order in case they need liquidity to new investors, but it's fixed at the price of the last funding round. So because it's obviously a low liquid market, that we don't want it to interfere in the valuation of your funding round or future prospects and stuff. Yeah. But some investors, they want some additional liquidity, and a lot of investors, we found, they were joining the Bank to the Future journey at different times, and they wanted to get a snapshot of everything that's happened in the past. And so when they're building their portfolios, they're a bit gutted that they missed certain funding rounds. And so our secondary market gives an opportunity to put those two together. And we've automated much of the process of transferring the shares between the shareholders, signing the agreements and everything. It's not a public market or anything like that, but it's a nice system that's really helping the new investors that missed it get on board. So we'd love to see if we can put some of the CoinPayments SPV shares on the market for those that want to be matched up.
I understand for sure. There's a couple of things to that. Simon, I definitely think that would be good for you guys to provide that to your clientele. One of the things I could probably offer internally, and of course not publicly, is that if there was somebody that was looking for liquidity, we would definitely support them and actually buy them out ourselves. If that was something that if there wasn't an offer or there wasn't a third party or somebody else that wanted it, we would offer to support taking them out.
Okay, awesome.
I've got one more question, Simon, and then you can take the floor.
Okay.
So Edmund Town has asked, and you've actually probably touched on this, but are there any plans to extend CoinPayments like services, like how Alipay has, maybe like loans or banking?
Well, the loan part of the space, we have had lots of conversations with the groups that are out there that really focus and support that. I think the banking side of the industry is something that it is a desire from some of our merchants that we've had that have contacted us and say, can we set up an IBAN account, or can we set up an e-wallet type facility? And we have had conversations with banks. We have the intentions, all of our new licensing that we're getting really is leading us into the process to be able to actually add bank accounts and other types of financial services. The lending side of it, I don't know that we will offer directly ourselves, possibly through the third party, which we've had conversations with already. But it's lending is something that it's not our expertise. So we would be looking at a third party to provide that solution.
Cool. Thank you, Jason. That's all I have in the live chat for questions.
Great. Okay, so Jason, thank you very much for taking that time as well. And one final question I had, and maybe you can't disclose it because maybe your clients want privacy, but are there any of like who are the main clients that you're getting all this volume from, or is that something you can't really disclose?
Well, I can't necessarily disclose too many of them. Of course, BnkToTheFuture, which of course.
Well, I knew you were going to say that.
Although I do have privilege to also comment about QuantFurry, which is probably one of our largest clients. QuantFurry is a quant trading platform. They are not active in Canada or the US, but they're active in Latin America and Europe and other markets, and they have a trading platform that allows people to buy and trade crypto, but also buy and trade stocks and other things within that platform. And they use our API systems and our payment systems for every one of the transactions, as they don't accept any other types of forms of payment.
Okay, cool. All right, Jason, thank you. Oh, you got another one?
I just wanted to say before we cut it off, I just wanted to publicly say that your customer support for us has been awesome. So
thank you so much. Great to hear, and hopefully we continue to expand that customer support and get even better for you.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 82 of Bank to the Future Live. A couple of commitments that were made there were a discussion on the secondary market. Also, what was the other commitment that was made? A potential for exploring a liquidity opportunity for those early investors. There was one more that we just passed my mind.
We'll have to rewatch this, Simon.
Oh, an investor update. An investor update for,
that's it.
For the shareholders. Okay. All right, Jason. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you over the years. Really happy that we've had this growth story, and you're certainly one of our key partners that we want to continue growing with. So thank you for coming on. And that's going to do it for this episode of Bank to the Future Live, episode 82.
Take care. See you later.
Bye-bye.